And we are recording. So, greetings from LA, my dear friends. Thank you so much for joining. Let's get right to it. I'm joined with one of my dear friends. This is Archie Cinema, and tonight I wanted to bring Archie Cinema on because he's one of my dear friends and just helps me out with all this film news and Blu-ray releases and stuff. But also, Archie Cinema has had a recent Akira Kurosawa 4K restoration film journey. And so he's been able to watch a lot of the Akira Kurosawa films that have been restored and have been shown in theaters, and some of them for the first time. So I just wanted to get Archie Cinema's perspective again, watching some of these films for the first time, and then getting into the rhythms of the world of Kurosawa films, and maybe getting into some of his favorites that he's seen thus far, any films that he hasn't seen yet that he's looking forward to, etc. So just his perspective on Akira Kurosawa films, maybe watching for the first time, but also beginning his own Kurosawa journey. So with that, Archie Cinema, welcome to the channel. Welcome, my friend.
Oh, hey, Daisuke, hey, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this. So thanks for the opportunity. Like I said, I've been watching you for years and just learned so much film knowledge from watching you and learned so much. So I just appreciate you having me. Pleasure to be here. It's like being on the Ed Sullivan show. I made
Not at all.
it.
Not at all. The pleasure is all mine, Archie. You're too kind. You've always been so thoughtful. You reach out to me with all the Blu-ray news. You give me the scoops about, oh, this is going to get released here. So you're always looking out for me, and all the news. So I want to thank you so much for that. And you were the person who, with all of our discussion about your Kurosawa film journey, that really inspired me to rewatch some of the films. So I want to thank you very much for rekindling or reigniting my interest. It was always there because I've seen the films, but
Right.
for reigniting my interest in the films again. So thank you so much for that, my friend. So Kurosawa, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
So let's get right to it. So you were able to watch some of the Kurosawa films in 4K, or the restorations in theaters near where you are. So why don't you start from the beginning with that? So where did you first hear of the Kurosawa films, and where did you first hear of these restorations? And let's go from there.
Sure. And you mean just in regards to just my history with Kurosawa or just this film perspective that I went to?
Let's start first with your own history with Kurosawa prior to watching these films in the theaters.
Okay, I remember. I was actually like I can say I was living in Clarksville. I'm in Tennessee. I was living in Clarksville at the time, getting ready to go back to school, and I had a little bit of free time in between me going to school and getting prepared to move. And at the library, I was that's when I started to really get into my classic cinema bag. That's the first time I saw Seven Samurai, and the first time I saw Wild Strawberry. So that's when my classic film started to open. So I saw that, and just little by little, his Kurosawa's name kept popping up, and
Hmm.
just over the years, just watching the Criterion movies, I can see, and excuse me, like I said, even at my local theater before this, before these restorations, they would play his films as well. So just throughout the years, just trying to see what I can and start with my film journey. So Seven Samurai was definitely the first movie I saw. That was, man, it might have been maybe 15 years ago. But since then, I've just been wide open. In this particular perspective, I've seen, excuse me, retrospective, I've seen that was playing it last month at my local theater, the Belcourt Theater here in Nashville. That was just amazing. I was just able to see so many of his films. I think 12. Make sure I got the list here. Yeah, it was 14 films. Yeah,
That is amazing. That is
right.
so amazing. So, so, so that means before your watches of these films at your theater here at the theater in Nashville, as you mentioned, you said 14 films that you're able to see in the theater, which is amazing, by the way. So
Well,
before you
13.
were
I
able,
miss I
oh,
miss Ran, but I saw it before. But I just
so
happened to
that
be out of town that time. Yeah.
Oh, it's too bad you couldn't catch that screening, but 13 out
Right,
of 14 ain't bad. That's pretty
right,
good from
right,
from my perspective. That's excellent, actually.
right.
So you had seen a number of Kurosawa films prior to that. So you mentioned Seven Samurai, you mentioned Ran just now. Were there any other films that you had seen before any of these screenings that you attended?
I actually saw, and that's why I'm glad to have this opportunity. I saw High and Low last year. That's the first time I saw High and Low, and I was just like, wow, this is like definitely went up to one of my favorite movies ever because it starts
Wow.
here, then it goes completely left field in a good way, and it's like whoa, like then it
Yeah.
gets like really really dark. It's like oh man, so it was just like it's like high and low, like literally high and low as far as where they're staying, and high and low as far as the mood and everything, you know. So I was like, wow, this is like definitely went up to some of my one of my great favorite movies of all time, most definitely.
Oh, that's great. So you would say then that you knew of Kurosawa's name and you had seen some of his films, but you hadn't seen a lot of his films prior to
Correct,
these screenings. Okay.
correct.
Which is this is great because from my perspective, I've mentioned it a lot on the channel about how I kind of started watching Kurosawa films fairly early in my life. I was very
Mm,
fortunate in that way to get those some of the titles I was able to watch, but I was able to get a lot of Kurosawa film, excuse me, Kurosawa film input from a very early
mm,
age. But what I really love to hear also is hearing the views and opinions of people who are maybe discovering Kurosawa films for the first time, or maybe didn't watch as many as maybe, let's say, I might have watched early in my life as well. So those perspectives are so valuable and important to me. And just to hear people watch, say, if they watch this Kurosawa film or that Kurosawa film for the first time, especially in these restoration presentations, that opinion and that viewpoint is so important, and I'd love to hear that. And so I'm very excited to hear about your Kurosawa journey and watching some of these films for the first time with these screenings. So, why don't we go to now your feelings about going in? So let's start from the beginning here in terms of when did you first hear about the screenings and what were the films that were shown? Let's start with that. Let's set it up for us before we get into your feelings about the film. So set up the theater, the screenings, and when you first heard about these.
Sure. I first heard about because I think the 4K criteria 4K criterion of Seven Samurai came out, was it last year or earlier this year?
Last year, I think. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that's when I actually went to the theater and saw that, but it was just that movie alone. It was just a 4K restoration. So I was good enough with that. And I think I want to say maybe July. June or July is when they on, like I said, the theater here, the Billcourt Theater, they were playing the trailer for the retrospective. So um I knew they were playing it here, and I'm assuming that was just kind of a general trailer they were using for different markets that they were going to
Mm.
play these 4K restorations in. So I was like, hey, man, I was kind of scared because I was actually going to be out of town. I was actually out of town the same month. I was like, oh man, all the months they're going to play this, like I got to make this. Luckily, like I said, other than Rain, I was able to see all of them, all of them. But Leah, let me give you the breakdown. And what I'll do is I'll break down the films they played as well as the restorations.
Yes, please. I'd
Okay.
love to hear that. Great.
So sure. So the 4K restorations they played were Akira Kurosawa's, no, in no particular order. Akira Kurosawa's Dreams, High and Low, Stray Dog, Yohimbo. Is that pronounced correctly?
Oh, Yojimbo.
Yojimbo,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Mhm. No problem.
Shanjuro, Throne of Blood, The Hidden Fortress, Ran, Seven Samurai, and Akira. Those were the 4K restorations. Then they played Roshamon and Redbeard in 2K restorations, and then Drunken Angel and Dusu Uzala. They
Great.
played those on 35 millimeter. On 35 millimeter.
Great. Oh, wow. So you were able to watch 13 of these 14. And it sounds
Correct.
like what is it, 10 of those being 4K, two being 2K, and then the other two being 35 millimeter projections, as you indicated. Wow, that is a lot. That's a
Right.
lot of movie.
Yeah,
That's
it's,
great.
I love it, but it can be kind of exhausting because you have to try to get them when you can. So I was seeing like maybe two or three movies a day. So by the time the day
Wow.
was all over, I was kind of beat. I was like, hey, I gotta watch these.
So they were showing, for instance, they could have had one day where they were showing more than one film. Is
Correct.
that how it worked?
Yeah.
Wow.
Typically, they would show maybe two, three. Well, throughout the week, they might play one or two, but it'd be some days, particularly Saturdays and Sundays, they'll play two and three a day.
What were some of those? Can you give us an example of what like one of those Saturdays was? Like what were those two or three films that you saw in one day? Do you
Sure.
remember?
Yeah, I know on one day I watched Stray Dog and I'm trying to see. I think it was, yeah, I believe, I'm almost certain it was, matter of fact, you know what? I actually have the dates on this paper. Let me make sure. I think it's August the 10th. So that was on a Sunday. I'm sorry
No, that's
here.
okay.
Okay,
Take your
okay,
time, my friend.
okay. Okay, yeah, so Stray Dog and Rashomon were both played on August 9th. And then Yohimbo played that same night at 7:30. So might
Wow.
watch all three on like a Saturday. Yeah. Yes, yes, straight,
Wow.
yeah. All these played on August 9th. August 9th, Straight All played at 1 o'clock p.m. Roshamon played at 3:35 and Yojimbo played at 7:30. So
You
yeah, might
saw
see two, three
Stray
a day.
Dog, you saw Stray Dog, Rashomon, and Yojimbo all in the same day.
Correct.
That is amazing.
Right, right.
That is amazing. And how did you feel at the end of it?
Oh, I was blown away. Now I was exhausted, but but I was just amazed. I was like, wow, this. I mean, like I said, I'm a fan of Kurosawa's movies. I was like, wow, this guy was just 30 years ahead of everybody else. I mean, not just with his camera work, but with the stories and how he can go to different eras from the era that that's portrayed as like the 1600s, 1800s to what was the modern day at the time, and never miss a beat. And just the character development, I was like this. I was like, this is just amazing. So I was just fortunate to be able to view these.
And oh, I'm so jealous. This is
Right.
so awesome, Archie. So, and what was these? Let's say, and then before we get into some of the specifics of the films and your
Sure.
takes on them,
Sure.
what were some of the other like? What was the theater experience like? How were the screenings generally? Were there healthy numbers of crowds? Like, what were the situations like in terms of the screenings themselves?
Right. Yeah, it was every night I went, no matter whether I went during a weekday or the weekend, it was usually a pretty big crowd. Several of them they had introductions. I forgot it was I forgot the gentleman's name. He was I think he's a professor in film. I think with concentrate on, I believe, Japanese filmography. So he would
Mhm.
give the intros, and then they would go into the films, and like every single Kurosawa film, at the end of it, everybody applauded every time. It's like how much they
Really?
enjoy. You rarely see that nowadays, but every single
Wow.
screening I saw, the whole audience applauded, like like the good old days, so to speak.
That warms my heart to hear.
Right,
That makes me so happy. Oh,
right.
to hear that. Oh, that's wonderful. And so it
And
sounds like it was.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna
Mm,
cut you off.
no, no, please go
Oh
ahead, my
yeah, I said
friend.
it was like I said, he's such a gifted filmmaker and a gifted writer. So you might hear a gasp, or you might hear people laughing, or you might he's able to like cover all these different emotions in the movies. Like he'll see people like literally bust out laughing, especially with like a movie like Hidden Fortress, with the kind of the silly characters, all the things they would do and try to kind of cower away from things. So they got a lot of laughs. And but the heartbreaking scenes would be people getting quiet, and then like if there was something dramatic happening, you would hear gasps from the audience. So he really just takes you on these different emotional roller coasters, and the crowd seemed to respond to all of it well.
That is so amazing. I'm so happy to hear that as well. That
Right,
you're absolutely right. I have not had the pleasure. I have not had the great fortune to be able to watch so many Kurosawa films projected in theaters. I've seen my share, but definitely not as much as I would like. But
right,
of the films I've seen in the theater with a crowd. Yes, everyone was so into it. And as you say,
right,
I love how you mentioned the gasps with, oh my goodness, that kind of
right,
moment and the
right.
laughter. Oh, that makes me very happy to hear. So, all right, my dear friend, let's get into it. I'd love to hear about each of your experiences because I'm a huge Kurosawa fan, and I know many people out there who are fans of Kurosawa would love to hear experiences. So, would you mind going through maybe each of the films? And you don't have to. You can go into as many as much or as little detail as you feel comfortable with. Don't worry about that. But let's start
Sure,
with the first film. Do you remember the first film that you saw in
sure.
this retrospective?
I don't necessarily. I have the list here of
Okay, not a
when
problem.
they played. I can't remember exactly what dates. Well,
Not a problem. Please start
oh,
with then whatever film you'd like to start with. Then not a
okay,
problem.
and now just and you let me know, if I'm kind of going too long or whatever.
No
Um,
problem.
high and low. I'm not gonna give any spoilers. Hey, just nothing else needs to be said. Just on a incredible roller coaster. It turns into a kidnapping, then it goes
Yeah.
darker into the drug scene and all, and then you have the police involved, it's civilians involved, it's the moral identity about a man they trying to support his family, but his friend's child is in need. So hey, like how close are you really? Are you willing to give up your money to give your son back, or possibly lose that for your morality? So that was kind of the theme that I kind of got from there. If that makes sense.
Oh, it does. And this was, please remind us again, this was one of the films that you had already seen before the
Correct.
screening, right?
Correct.
Was there something that that you picked up on during the screening that maybe elevated that theater going experience for you, having seen the film before? Was there anything special about that movie theater experience for you and when watching High and Low?
I think just like you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, just the audience reactions, because there's so many things going on, and like to not give any spoilers. Oh wow, this person who did the kidnapping did this too. Like wow, this is like you didn't think
Yeah.
things were going to get that dark. So and
Yeah.
like I said, just the audience reactions to that going on. Like whoa,
Uh,
this happened. Like oh man, go
that
to
is
the house and
awesome.
like oh what's in the house, that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I
So
know. I know.
yeah, so it's definitely a different experience with audience, because they're kind of going on this journey with you, if that makes sense.
It does. That's really well said. Oh, that's awesome. So High and Low. So that was one of the films that you mentioned. So what's the
Correct.
next film you'd like to mention here for us?
Sure. The next one they have is a Stray Dog. Definitely the first time I saw this, and just the dilemma of police officers just trying to do his job, and somebody steals his gun, and as a result all of these different things happen. As a lady gets robbed, and somebody else gets hurt without giving any spoilers. So just that moral dilemma of them trying to find who it is, but at the same time his own moral dilemma is, man, like I if I hadn't have been so negligent, none of this would have happened. So now we have a quote madman on our hands using my gun. So what is he going to do with it? So just that conflict throughout the movie.
That that's really great. And the this was your first time watching the film Stray Dog,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And so you're watching, the actors there. So there's Takashi Shimura, who's the older police detective character, sort of the
Correct.
elder one, and then there's the younger main character played by Toshiro Mifune,
Correct.
who was featured very prominently in Seven Samurai and also High and Low. So I'm sure you recognize those faces
Right.
amongst the cast crowd there.
Right.
But
And
it,
you mentioned the older gentleman. He's trying to kind of get this guy, hey man, okay, kind of get your head in the game. Hey, that's over with.
yeah,
But we're trying to figure this out now. But he keeps going back to, I can't believe this happened, and it's almost like a little bit like Do the Right Thing, because the movie takes place in a very
Yes.
hot period as far as the weather goes. So that intensifies things even further, and everybody's tempers are flaring. So it's like it's that's the extra element onto the stress of having to find this guy and everything like that.
I love that. Yes, you're so right about the feeling of heat
Right,
and the temperature and do the
right,
right thing. Yeah, that's a great comparison. And
right,
also, I'm so happy that you've mentioned this almost side by side with the earlier film that you mentioned now, which is High and Low. It seems like High and Low and Stray Dog. A Stray Dog is an earlier film than High and Low. They're
right,
maybe the expanse of about, oh gosh, about 20 years or so. But they're both police procedurals in a way, detective thrillers in a way,
right,
different stories
right,
in terms of their outcome, but also very similar in many respects. Also, like you see Japanese society in different states. One
correct.
from in terms of immediate post-war, and then one in sort of the economic quote unquote boom of the 1960s. But yes, you're so correct about this. So uh, oh, Stray Dog, and you. So I take it then you enjoyed the film Stray Dog then.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
And like you
fantastic.
said, going back to the heat, you can all, even though it's in black and white, you could almost feel the heat from the screen. When they, I mean, this just if they're just standing in a room not doing nothing, the sweat is like drenching off of them, and their suits and shirts are soaked in sweat. So it's like you can feel the heat through the movie, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. It
Right.
really does. So, oh, I love this. So let me just so far. So you've mentioned I'm going to show my some of my criterion titles of these films as you
Sure.
mentioned them. So you've mentioned just now Stray Dog. I know it's on BFI as well. I have some of the BFIs, but let me just use Criterion for the referencer. So that's the older Stray Dog DVD from Criterion, and here is High and Low
Mm.
from Criterion as well. So those are the two films you've mentioned thus far, which is great. So please continue. What's up next in terms of your Kurosawa screening journey?
All right. Rashomon was the next, um, and just that story. I believe it's four different people's details of the occurrence. I think, what is it? Four people.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
just
four main characters. Yes,
right.
there are some other characters that we kind of hear from, but yes.
Right. So just the retelling of the story and what happened. Uh, the wife was really quote unquote the culprit, and she could have helped him and didn't, and the husband allowed her to get attacked. It's just so many different stories going back and forth. So just hearing the retelling of the story every time, it's like such a creative thing, because like that might, from the outside like, looking in, like that might be an interesting story, but it's so interesting just seeing, because it's an exciting story initially, but just hearing four other people's telling of the story, just very engaging film.
And they're very different from each other, the stories,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. And
So,
it's like the old saying, like somebody tells you know, we got five people that tell the same story, you're always going to get something different. Like I remember back in school, they used to like give us little drills. They said, okay, say something, and all the 15 students in the room, it goes down to them, and then by the end we'll find out what happened. So the teacher says this initially, by the time it gets to the other side of the room, it's completely different. So
oh,
that kind of thing.
exactly. So, and then
Right,
you're not sure what actually happened. So,
right,
which is, I think, one of the great mysteries and appeals of this film. So,
right.
oh,
But it's like I said, there's no, you're just seeing it from these people's perspective. It's not,
right,
it never says this happened absolutely. You just don't know,
right.
really.
And this was also your first time watching this film?
Correct. You know what's so bad? Because I've had this Blu-ray for years, but my
Mm.
back catalog is ridiculous. We don't even
No,
want to get into that. I don't want to be really embarrassed. But
no, not at
I've
all.
had
Not
I've
at
had
all.
this for years, but I never got around to watching this. I was like, okay, now this is gonna give me an excuse to make me watch it. But
Not
I'm
at
glad I
all.
did. It was fantastic. I need to go through
No,
the special features on here.
no, you're so kind, and that's not at all, my friend. Not all. It's great that you're able to watch it in the theater like that. So
Right.
Rashomon, that's great. And so what's next in your Kurosawa film journey then?
Okay. Yojimbo.
Yes.
Right. Oh, fantastic. And like I said, well, spoke to you a little bit about it on Instagram. I was when I heard about it, but it didn't click till I watched. I was like, wait a minute, this is like the same plot as a fistful of dollars. Like going down to the escape and all, and then I looked it up. Like, okay, yeah, like and Kurt Kurosawa, he could have ate Sergio Leone alive. He's a hey, I think he wrote a letter saying, hey, this is a great movie, but this is my movie. You completely bit off my movie.
Yeah.
But just the story of, and like I said, just Akira Kurosawa's ability to go back into this time frame, back to the modern day, is just another brilliant aspect of this filmmaking. But just the story of kind of a loner going out here and basically trying to survive, and in that sense, he'll pit two sides against each other to survive, to do what he has to do. And just amazing, man. That just like I said, the acting's amazing, the sword fights are amazing. Like I said, just the mystery element to it, and Yohimbo has to outsmart both sides while staying alive. These two sides are at each other, and he's in the middle of it, trying to figure it out and make the best plan, while still trying to just keep his head on the swivel. It's brilliant, brilliant stuff.
This is one of my favorite films by Kurosawa. I have to
Right.
ask, what was the crowd reaction like when during the screening?
Oh, yeah, like I said, like I said, it is funny in a lot of parts, but when there's the instant, I'll say who, but when there's like instant killings where you might not expect, they'll they'll gasp at that. There's a guy out there with a gun, that was kind of, because I guess you would kind of assume it's just going to be the sword fights and maybe hand to hand, but this guy's got the gun, blasting, and he, like say, he kind of goes wild with that, so they weren't expecting that either. So yes. And
I love it.
then he tries to hang it, the guy with the gun tries to hang in there the best he can. At the end, I'll just leave it at
Thank you.
that.
I love it. Archie, I
Right,
love it. That's
right.
great. Yojimbo, this is great. What's next, my friend?
All right. And then Sanjuro,
Yep.
the sequel to
There we go.
Yojimbo. I still enjoyed it. Not as quite as much as Yojimbo, but I still enjoyed it. It's another action packed feature, and like I said, this one's somebody explain. I think this one might be more of not in a bad way. This seemed to maybe have more action than Yohimo. I feel like.
Hmm. Interesting.
It's just my personal opinion. I don't, but it just seems like there was more constant action. It seems like Yohimbo is kind of more of like a pause, and then the fight scenes a pause. This is kind of more action packed throughout the film. In my personal opinion, it seems like that, and it's them going into the different houses, and Yohimbo having to do what he has to do to at the last minute fool this side, or so it's kind of like he's still kind of in survival mode in this movie too, and I feel like he has to step the violence of it up even more, um because it seems like there's more of a betrayal in this movie on both sides. So it seems like with Yohimbo, he kind of knew who was who and what was what. This seemed to be more, you don't really know who to trust at all. um
Interesting.
in
Very
my this
interesting.
like this is just my own personal thoughts. I'm not,
No,
I
that's great.
think,
No, no,
but yeah,
Archie
and
Cinema,
then
that's
he has to
great.
make like split second decisions. Like, I'm not remembering. I think there was a part where they were coming in, and I think they were being chased. He said, "Well, they're gonna blame this on me." So, hey, somebody got him. so, so it's a lot of that.
I love that point you made. You're right. There's a lot of duplicitous nature
Right,
and political intrigue
right,
that our main character and his friends here,
right,
as we meet, have to try to maneuver. And sort of the younger generation is not as experienced
right.
in this duplicity as maybe
Correct,
our main hero, which our
correct.
anti-hero. So
Yeah,
that's I
correct. Yeah,
yeah
he has to really lead the way and show them what's
yeah
going on, and
yeah
how to really stand up for themselves. And hey, it's time for us to move, and or whatever else. Yeah, so like
exactly.
they're kind of fight. Yeah, he's definitely the leader in this one. He's showing, like I said, the young fellas how to lead, and
Oh, well
yeah,
done. Oh, I love it. Archie Sim, I love it. So, uh, I feel like I'm reliving, like maybe watching these films again for the first time through your experience. I'm loving this so far. This is
Right.
great. So please continue.
Likewise.
What's next? So
Okay.
Yojimbo and Sanjuro were here. So what's after these?
The next is Throne of Blood.
All
So
right.
what's that? The retelling of Hamlet?
Macbeth.
Macbeth, yeah, excuse me.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. I enjoyed this one too. Like I said, it's like kind of unassuming, very subtle at first with the demons and the spirits, and then like I said, it goes very dark to where um,
Yes.
yeah, he does this to survive, and then you know we know what happens at the end with the multiple. Like, whoa, boy,
Yeah.
the arrows start coming. It's all over the place. So, but yeah, this is one of Kurosawa's maybe more. I feel like more of the mental, psychological more films. This is more of a film that this is more of a film to where other than I'll say the end. I'll put it to you like that. Everybody was pretty quiet throughout the
Hmm.
whole movie. It seemed like they really were thinking with the ghost coming in and the ghost saying, "Hey, you can take over this kingdom by killing this person," and it happening little by little, and so it seemed like this was more of a movie where everybody was pretty quiet until the real violence in the end. I'll say that. But it seemed like everybody. This is very more of a mental psychological film than more of his other ones. From what I've seen, and the fact that during the most of these other movies, and well, other than maybe Akira, everybody was pretty quiet, and they still applauded at the end, but they were very quiet throughout the whole movie. It seemed like.
Really, that's so interesting. I never
Right.
thought of it before like that, but you're onto something because right throughout the most of the film, there it's very moody,
Right.
very atmospheric, a lot of death and
Right.
doom that's on the
Right.
horizon, and supernatural
Right.
creepiness. But
Yeah.
it does, but it's never overbearing, I think, in
No.
terms of the I mean, one or two loud moments, yes, but I
Right.
think for the most part, yes, it's never overbearing like that until we get to this kind of explosive finale.
Correct.
And really, it's really shocking actually
Right.
how
Yeah.
how dangerous it looks actually
Correct.
among
And like I said,
everything.
it's like you said, it's constant. It's a dark feeling throughout, but it kind of maintains that dark feeling. It doesn't, like I said, not like high and low, like takes you up and down. It kind of maintains that kind of dark theme throughout. It seems like, and then at the end, they just hit you with it, like boom.
Archie, so I love that. I love how you look at it in terms of a maintaining of a kind of a mood, not an up and down type of thing, but maybe as a constant level. I like that's a really great
Correct.
observation. I'd never thought
Correct.
of it like that, but I agree with that.
Right.
Oh, this is great. So, Throne of Blood, that was the one. So, please continue, my friend. This is
Oh,
fantastic.
all right. Thanks, man. Yeah. Okay. The
And
next, yeah, this was showing a 35 millimeter. Drunken Angel.
yes,
And wow, this actually might be my favorite Kurosawa film. I don't know. This one doesn't really get mentioned that much. It seems like, or doesn't, or at least doesn't get mentioned in some of the other ones. But I just love the dynamic of you have this doctor who's an alcoholic, and he's trying to treat this gangster who's an alcoholic. So it's like this codependent relationship. And it's like every time they see each other, they clash. They start fighting, and this is another one of those movies that, like, the audience was just had different types of reactions, because some of it's funny, some of it's very sad, some of it's shocking. Like, I remember, I think maybe a couple of times, I know one time specifically, where the main doctor, the gangster comes in, kind of roughs him up a little bit, and he starts throwing items at him. He picks up, has a bottle of I guess alcohol in his hand. He get ready to throw that, and it's like, wait a minute, and like takes a sip of
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
So just going throughout, and no, and them actually, even though they clash, them seeming to have a deep feeling for each other, because this
Yes.
gangster, he could have obviously taking this guy out. That's that he's in that life, or he could have made it worse. But it seems like every time, because this guy does care about it. He said, hey man, you have tuberculosis, you need some rest, and you don't need to be drinking. So I mean, he's telling him that because he cares, but the guy doesn't necessarily listen. So it's kind of that back and forth. And um him having a heart to try to, and as well as the doctor try to protect the young lady from uh the other gangster who's in incarcerated that's going to be coming out. So even though they clash, it seems like they truly care about each other. So just that going out throughout the movie, just that kind of codependency over two people that typically don't have anything other than alcohol really in common, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I love your description of this, my friend. And I
Right.
also love how you cite it as maybe you think this is this could be your favorite Kurosawa film.
I think so. I think so.
Wow. I
Personally.
love
Well,
that.
this I, mean, I say this is Seven Samurai, but maybe it's because I've seen Seven Samurai so many times, and this is the one that I was like, whoa, because I didn't know what to expect. You know, I you read the little summary, but until you actually watch the whole film, you're just not sure what to really expect. You know.
Oh, I love that. I love that. This is an earlier film from the late 1940s.
Mm,
So early, but it's also post-war. So you see a lot of the um, the post-war aftermath effects on the society. You know,
right,
from the very start with this bubbling pool, polluted pool
right,
nearby, which is suggestive of maybe infectious disease, which is also very much part of the film. So.
right,
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that you've cited this being among your favorite Kurosawa films.
right, right.
This is a great choice. So,
Hopefully,
Drunken
yeah.
Angel.
Hopefully, this, like I said, I saw they didn't have it in this in 4K, only in 35 millimeters. So
Mm,
hopefully, at some point, I don't know if somebody's working on a for well, I guess it depends on, sometimes it depends on the original elements. So hopefully somebody's coming with a 4K upgrade or they're working on it, hopefully, because I'm definitely going to be getting this one.
fantastic. Oh, so you've let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six. You've spoken, I think, about seven films here so far.
One,
So
two,
yes.
three. Correct.
So let's go with number eight. What's the next film that
Okay.
you
The next is
experienced?
Hidden Fortress, The Hidden Fortress. Yeah, it's
Fantastic.
such a fun movie. It's like I said, this Kurosawa, he just has like a million tricks up his sleeve, So just movie of a treasure trying to be found. Like I said, I forget the characters' names, but this one guy that's really serious about finding it, and these other two guys that are kind of silly. They just want the money and just kind of just figuring out on the spot, just making a lot of
Yeah.
foolish mistakes, and then the young ladies with them. So it's just such a fun. I think this might be his most maybe entertaining or fun film. It's very even though there's some moments, it's kind of, to me, it seems more a little bit hearted because ultimately, it's about finding the treasure and finding the gold and keeping it for themselves and being able to live off that.
Exactly, and also to evade capture and to stay hidden and
Correct.
save um, the clan
Right.
princess,
Right.
right, etc.
Right.
So there's everything's under threat, and
Right.
it's also comedy. I think you had mentioned at the
Right.
start of this about how at the screening for the Hidden Fortress, people were laughing at the
Right.
jokes, at the humor.
Right.
Can you explain a little bit more about the screening of this? What was the experience like?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, and this seemed to me, well, for the most part, a little bit more lighthearted. So I think there was a point in the movie where they were for example, like they would try to tip away from the main character and hide somewhere, and then this the pack of I'm not sure, I forget the enemies names or the troops.
Hmm.
They would be right behind them when they would run away. So like the artist would get a good laugh at that. Like, man, you could have stayed. The guy's like, hey, stay right here. You're trying to run away. And as soon as you run away, these troops are running towards you. Hey, what's in that bag? And they're taking them the gold from them, but they got to try
Yeah.
to get it back. So it's like it's is all over the place. And then how it ends. At least they leave with something. But it's like if y'all would just played your cards right and not been so silly and so greedy, you could have had a whole lot more. So
That's great. I love it.
yeah.
I love it. So the Hidden Fortress. So that was another one that you watched. I'm so happy to hear this so far, but please let's continue on. So what's next that you want to talk about?
Okay. The next was Ran. Now I saw this on DVD, but I didn't. This is the one where I wasn't able to watch it live in theater. I like Ran. This is probably my least favorite of the
Mm.
Kurosawa films. Um, it kind of it reminds me a little bit. I guess maybe a lot darker. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Hidden Fortress a little bit, but definitely more of a darker theme.
Hmm.
Um, but I get as I recall, it's just like the storming of the castle and trying to protect it, basically.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Oh,
That's right. There's a
right,
very famous sequence involving involving an attack
right,
on a Japanese castle.
right,
And there's a lot of mayhem and carnage that ensue.
right,
So it's a late period Kurosawa film. It comes at the
right.
tail end, or almost at the tail end, or practically at the tail end of his career or
Correct,
filmography. So
correct.
um, it does have, admittedly, it may be a different pulse
Right,
than, say, his earlier work, and I think very understandably so. But there are
right,
a lot of threads that connect this film with the earlier output.
right,
Um, so it's this film, I think, is definitely worth watching,
right,
especially when you've come to the end of watching all the Kurosawa films and watching this again. There's a lot of
right,
interesting things that maybe a little callbacks to previous films that you might have caught. And it's a very tough, it's a very heavy film, war
right,
film. So,
right.
but it's definitely worth rewatching when you get the opportunity. But yeah, that's so. But this, you, as you say, you weren't able to watch this one of the 14. This was the one that you couldn't attend the screening to, unfortunately, right? So,
Correct. Yeah. And like I
yeah,
said, yeah, like I said, the theme is very, like I said, very, very dark, very, very violent, you know.
yeah.
Uh yeah, but very, very well. I think definitely if anything, definitely the camera work was, on another level, 100%.
Hmm.
Right.
So that was the one that you missed. But what? So going
Correct.
back to the screenings that you were able to attend. So what's next then for you?
Okay. Next is Red Beard.
Redbeard. Cool.
Right. Now this one right here, like I said, this is like I said, Kurosawa, he's able to make so many epics. Some people might make one epic, maybe two in their career, but he's at like three or four epics. These movies that go on for like 3 hours, but the flow, you never, it's because it's kind of hard to keep people's attention for this long. But the way his stories are structured, it's just like the movies just fly by. You don't even recognize how long they are. But this story here of a doctor that comes into town, and he's got to deal with just the average everyday people, and he feels like he's being used. Like, hey, I don't need anybody babysitting me. I want to kind of go out on my own and be able to take care of these patients on my own. So as time goes on, it just things get tense, and he has to take care of these things on his own. Like this people that are sick right then and there, you got to handle them. Or somebody's like, hey, my baby's is doing this, or my daughter's is having showing these type of symptoms, and he has to deal with them right there. And then you have the violent element coming in, and then it's a young lady that's a prostitute that needs help, that he's trying to help. So he ends up developing a heart for these people in this neighborhood that he's never been in. So he soon, like, by the end of the movie, his heart changes, and not even ruin the movie. He just he decides to stick around, if that makes sense, without
So
ruining the movie.
yeah, and he's the young doctor that comes
Right.
in under the guidance of the elder doctor that's
Correct.
already there, the Redbeard of the story.
Correct.
Um, and as you say, this is quite a long film in terms of the
Right.
running time. But you said that for you that it felt like it flew by. Is that right?
Correct. Because I they
Yeah.
actually had an intermission
Yeah.
for this, and as well as Seven Samurai. Yeah,
That's great.
it went by so fast. I was like, oh, they got an intermission. So and then they went to the second half. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. This is kind of like Kurosawa. If what if Kurosawa made like a an episode of ER or something like that.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like
it's
I
great.
mean, he's so
Yeah,
versatile. It's
it's great.
amazing. Because
Yeah.
I mean, not only to do a movie about, I guess you can say, the health field, but to do it in that 1600, 1700 time frame, like that's even more difficult. Because you might not think about that. It's like, hey, they had to have aid back in those times too. So for him to make a whole
Mm,
epic based on that storyline, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
I
Beyond
agree.
impressive.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites of his as well. And I agree, the time flies with this. It feels because there's so many little episodes, as you described, there are so many little mini episodes within it, all the different patients and their stories, and
Right.
it feels like it's a compilation of many different stories, short
Right.
stories, under the
And like
one
real life,
film.
them not be some of them not being able to pay, and so
Yeah,
it's like, yeah,
yeah,
so it's like a little bit of everything.
yeah. That's great. I love it. So Redbeard. Uh, what's next, please, my friend?
Okay. The next is, the big one, Seven Samurai. That's
Mhm.
just, the brilliant movie about the samurais coming to protect the town. And this is another one of those movies that just has all the elements to it.
Right.
Tragedy, comedy, action, sadness. It's like wow, it keeps going. And it's
Yeah,
just this town of people and just to refuse to give up.
yeah.
So this is another one of those movies where you just see all different types of reactions from people, and this the fact that this movie inspired Star Wars is like, what else can be said? And the Magnificent Seven, I believe.
Oh, that's right. So,
Right.
so
Yeah.
there are some maybe points of inspiration with this film, and also an earlier film you mentioned, The Hidden Fortress, and
Oh,
Star
correct. Okay.
Wars.
Right. Right. Right.
And then, but there's some Seven Samurai influences there, definitely. I'll be specific. There's a moment, and it's a later Star Wars film, but there's a moment where Yoda, in I
Mm,
want to say one of the prequels,
right.
he's rubbing his head in a way he's worried about one of the, like, Anakin Skywalker or something like that. And I think the commentary track for it made a direct reference to the main character, portrayed by Takashi Shimura, who would rub his head whenever he was thinking, because he shaved his hair off early on in the film, and now he's rubbing his head every time he's thinking or
Mm,
pondering some kind of strategy. So
right.
a
Right.
direct yeah, so there is a direct reference to Seven Samurai that I think is
Right.
cited by George Lucas. But yes, you're absolutely, and Magnificent Seven, as well, as you mentioned. So it's
Right.
it's it's one of the all-time great action films
Right.
um, ever made. So
Right.
and the fact that you saw it on the projected on screen with the intermission too, which is really cool.
Right.
So this is Seven Samurai. And so what's next, my friend?
All right. It's Dursa Uzala.
Great. I don't, this is not a Criterion release, but here's my imprint Blu-ray. So please talk to
Right.
me about your impressions of Dersu
Wow, this was
Uzala.
amazing. This one was, I believe, in Russian.
That's right.
And this is another one that was in 35 millimeters. So just I forget. I'm trying to think of what war took place in this movie. I can't think of which one. But Dursa meets with this official, and
Yes,
they meet, initially, and then all of a sudden, like, they need each other. There's wars going on, and Dursa is the one who knows the terrain of being, out in how to survive out in nature and in the woods and in the freezing cold. He's able to just navigate. He's a reason they survive,
that's
out,
right.
out there. So it's this friendship that comes between them, and it's like once, back and forth, and then they separate for a while, and then they meet up again. It's like an instant
Yeah,
chemistry and friendship that they have. And then like I said, I know I keep saying this without ruining the movie, towards the end, it's like when, everything is over with, the war is done. It's like Dursa can't deal with civilian life. Like, the inside life is foreign to him, even though that's would typically be more the safer option, or the more comfortable option, being in a
right.
heated home and being in a home where, you might not have to, because I think it was a situation where a tiger was out
That's right. The
in the
Siberian
forest and
tiger.
almost got him.
Yes,
So
that's right.
so I mean,
That's
they're
right.
they're in constant threat when they're out in nature, but this is the more safe environment. But Dursa just can't. He said, "This just isn't for me." That
Yeah,
was like just very interesting. Like, even though, like, his friend was like, "Hey, hey, you're my buddy. You saved me out here, so I'll make sure you're good in here." And he's
yeah,
like, "I'd rather go back out into the into
right.
nature, and that's just more my preference. I don't
Yeah.
the inside life just isn't for me." So that was a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear you're reacting as positively as you say. That's really warms my heart. Yeah, so this is
Right.
about Arsenyev and Dursuzawa, and I think Arsenyev and his team are they're on a kind of expedition, I think.
Correct. Right.
So, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe if it's a specific war setting or if it's an
Yeah, you might
expedition
be
setting.
right. It's like you
So,
remember
but
there's
no,
so
that's
much
okay.
stuff
Yeah,
going on. I forget like
yeah, sure,
the
sure.
exact plot frames. It's so
No,
many
no, no
little parts
problem.
you gotta remember.
No
Yeah.
problem, my friend. No problem. But you're right. There is a. I think it's early. I want to say early turn of the century period. So,
Right.
but you're so right. It's a kind of buddy movie.
Right.
And also right the what's it's the fish out of water story,
Right.
and it's
Right.
reversed,
Right.
it's in nature in the wilderness on the one hand, and also in quote unquote society, civilized
Correct.
society end quote on the other.
Correct.
So, and there's also a lot to do with aging
Right.
having a sense of place and responsibility, also
Correct.
survival. And
Correct.
I mean, I think some of the film elements here maybe are just innately not necessarily as I think based on the film stock that was used for
Mm.
filming is
Right.
it wasn't a film stock that was, I understand, Kurosawa's top preference. So there's a certain look
Mm.
to it that maybe won't
Right.
necessarily translate as well and I know you said this wasn't one of the restorations that you'd seen,
Right.
um, but regardless
Yeah.
too, some of the scenes and shots that are covered are very epic
Mm.
and quite
Right.
magnificent. And to think that they were actually in the throes of these nat scenes of nature when they're filming
Right.
makes it even more quite legendary. Excuse me. So I'm so thrilled to hear you mention that you took so well to this. So
Yeah,
um,
this is another one that it just seems like it doesn't really get mentioned as much. I actually, before I looked on the list of movies, I think this is one of the Kurosawa films I never heard of. I missed this one of like really being mentioned at all. So
but I'm glad you mentioned it now. So
right.
Dersu Ozawa, this is a great one. So well done, my friend. And I think, is there one more left in your journey of the
Two, yeah,
screenings? Two? Okay,
Kuru, you know,
good.
you know, we love
Akira,
I love a Kuru, just and like I
great.
said, this is another movie where it's such a somber mood throughout. You know, the audience is very quiet.
There
Um,
you go.
you know, this man that knows that, you know, he doesn't have
Awesome.
much time left, but
Yep.
is trying to make the most out of his life and help who he can. And I forget the actor's name, but he just emotionally just goes to a different level. You know, he just has this somber look in his face and
Oh,
can cry on command and sing, you know,
Takashi,
sing,
yeah.
right, sings the
Takashi
song on the
Shimura.
spot. Right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, brilliant actor. Um, but yeah, such a felt and heartbreaking film that because you know you would figure somebody that knows they didn't have much time left would just kind of being a just you know, kind of like push everybody away, be in a somber mood. Is hey, I want to make sure these children have a nice place before I go. So I'm gonna push, you know, to get that taken care of as well as
Right.
just helping out just people in daily life, you know, who I can, you know.
I love how you describe it. Yes, and you're right. The main actor here, Takashi Shimura, um, Kanji Watanabe is his name, I think, in the film. But
R-
he does a whole range
Right,
of he goes to many different places in his performance,
right,
as you suggest. So it's a tour de force performance, that's for sure.
correct,
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it's quite a heavy, somber. It
right,
strikes us quite a somber note.
right,
So the audience was probably, as you mentioned, they were quite maybe quiet when watching it. Maybe they're really
right.
into the film in that way.
Right. There were a couple humorous scenes, but for the most part they
Mm,
pretty much were quiet until
yeah,
the very end. They applauded like
that's
for
great.
maybe like a couple minutes straight. Like it was like that, but that much
Wow.
of a emotional effect, you know?
Wow, that is
Right.
amazing.
Right.
Amazing. So that's Ikiru. So, and as you mentioned, I apologize. There's one more left of the screenings that you saw. So what film is that again?
Yeah, Akira Kurosawa's Dreams.
Great. There you go.
Right. I'm definitely because I missed this one too. I'm definitely gonna probably pick this up during the next Criterion sale. But just these different short stories is like, as they say, Akira Kurosawa's dreams. Just the different stories, and they're so vibrant and so colorful and so dramatic. Even in that short space of time that he has these stories, and just every story gets more and more engaging. And I think my particular favorites were the war one, where the guy has the dog, and I think it's like a tunnel,
Yeah, right.
and all these soldiers end up coming out of the lives have been lost. And then the very last story it's just a beautiful kind of retrospect on life at that age. That guy goes to the village that's I guess he's quote unquote in the modern day, but the village doesn't have, I guess, basic amenities. But the older gentleman is like, hey, we have everything we need here. We
Yeah,
have, everybody has food to eat, everybody has a place to stay. We might have central electricity. We use candles, that's fine. But
yeah,
everybody takes care of each other. We'll have a loving spirit. Even when there was a funeral going on, he's like, hey, that lady lived to be 99 years old, so she lived a full life. So and hey, I'm still sticking around. So that's the more, just teaching the young man just about life and the more essential things in life. He's like, hey, we might have to have the electricity, I mean, the resources you have that you feel like are more important, but we're not a quote unquote
right,
slave to the electric bill or the light bill or whatever.
right,
We
exactly.
we we live off, all of us live off the land. There's enough of all of us, and we're all happy and content. And then we
Yeah.
live long lives, and when we finally check out, we've lived a complete life.
Oh, that's great. Yes, and I too. There, this all the stories, the dreams, are really wonderful, as you mentioned. But yeah, those two in particular, yeah, they're very striking, both emotionally and visually. You're
Right.
absolutely right. So,
Yeah,
so
very
this was.
colorful film too. The colors are
Oh
beautiful.
yes, yes,
Right.
sir. It's so vibrant in terms of the color, and they have different, slightly different color palettes depending
Right.
on what dream you're in. So.
Right. Right.
That's great. So, oh my goodness. So that concludes the epic film screening journey that you went through Archie Cinema. So,
Right.
so based on the films that you've seen so far by Kurosawa, which ones would you say are among your favorites? I know you mentioned Drunken Angel already. So there's Drunken Angel. What are some others that you'd say would be among your favorites of what you've seen?
Like I said, I'm definitely going to try to collect all these. Matter of fact, I think I'm trying to get. I got these right here. I got a few BFIs. I got Seven Samurai,
Good for you.
Hidden Fortress, whoops, Throne of Blood, and Yohimo Senjuro.
Cool.
So I'm going to try to collect all the ones I can, and I just said definitely during the next Criterion Flash, I'm going to try to get Dreamed. But personally, my favorites, of course, Seven Samurai, of course, High and Low, Stray Dog, Roshamon. Um, Drunken Angel, most definitely. Red Beard. I mean, those are, if I had to take my top 4 or 5 picks, those would be my favorite. But I really enjoyed all of these. Like I said, I wasn't able to see Rand. That was the one I wasn't able to see in the theater. But all the rest of these I actually enjoyed. But my personal favorites, I definitely say High and Low, Stray Dog, Yojimbo, Drunken Angel, Red Beard, Seven Samurai. Those are probably my top picks, and then we can go from there. But I actually enjoyed all of these. I can honestly say that.
Oh, that's so, that again, that warms my heart to hear you say that, Archie Cinema. Thank you so much for this. And
Certainly.
so there are of course other Kurosawa films out there. There are a number of others that are available on Criterion as well and other labels. So
I need to
I
check
w
the
mhm.
Criterion channel. I think there might be some more on there that might not have been, but I need to check. I'm not
Good
sure.
for you. Good for you.
Right.
You subscribe to the Criterion channel, correct?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Love it. Love it. Yeah.
So I think you'll be able to find, at least as of the time of this video, you'll be able to find a lot of Kurosawa film offerings
Mm.
there.
Right.
So
Right.
you'll be able to find some of the early ones.
Right.
Um, so like there's this early Eclipse series set, or even
Mm.
earlier Eclipse series set. There are two of them
Right.
that have some of the earlier films, or this one has the early films,
Mm.
and then this one has films spread out over the 1940s and 50s.
Okay.
Um, I think these all these films that you can find here will be made available to watch on the
Okay.
Criterion channel. So,
Okay.
uh, and so you have some of
Let's go back.
his first films like Sanshiro Sugata, which is his judo film.
Mm.
There's a lot of fight scenes,
I've
and
heard of that. Right.
there's also a sequel called Sanshiro Sugata in English, Sanshiro Sugata Part Two. So
Mm.
uh, you can that's a really wild sequel. It's really
Okay.
wild. So
Okay. I
that's
definitely
worth
check those
checking
out.
out. And then you can check out some of they're also on the Criterion Channel. I think films like The Idiot or I Live in Fear,
Mm.
and others. And then the other releases I think you can check out. I think there's Dodeskaden, which
Right.
I think also is in the Criterion Channel, which is around the 70s. So you mentioned that you really liked Dersu Uzala. So this was made prior to Dersu Uzala, but it's in the
Mm.
same decade.
Right.
There's also Kagemusha,
Right. Right.
which is
Right.
an 80s war epic, much like Ran.
Right.
There's also the film. The this is the early DVD of the Lower Depths. That's the Renoir film Lower Depths, and you turn it around, it
Mm.
actually includes uh, the Kurosawa film Lower Depths as well, which is from the
Mm.
1950s,
Okay.
which is also worth checking out. And then also The Bad Sleep Well,
Right. Okay. I've heard of that too. Yeah.
which is like a corporate espionage, family betrayal type of
Wow.
modern
Okay.
drama, which is great.
I gotta check the
And then
Criterion channel, see what they
yeah,
have. I know they
a
have
lot
some
of
of
stuff.
these.
And
Yeah.
oh, and also there's one on the Criterion Channel, which is this. There's this box, right, which is
Right.
the
Yeah. I was
DVD set,
by the time I started getting
and
into Criterion, it was out of print.
yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, but you can watch these films. It has most of not all of the Kurosawa films, but most of
Mm.
them. But
Right.
one that it has on physical media that's actually very difficult to get on physical media now, but I think you can watch it very easily on the Criterion Channel is Kurosawa's last film before he
Mm.
passed away, which is called Madadayo.
Mm. Okay.
Madadayo. So that's the one that he did in 1993, again before his passing. So it's a very lovely uh, portrayal,
Mm.
and it's a kind of maybe it's a lovely type of um, well, it's a very beautiful it's a very beautiful, maybe bittersweet film. So
Mm.
it's definitely worth checking out if you have the opportunity.
Okay.
Um, and then they're not on Criterion. Well, Dersu Uzala's, I think you can watch Dersu Uzala as well on the Criterion channel, I think. But
Okay.
others, I'm not sure if you can watch on the Criterion channel or not. They're not on Criterion releases
Right.
at the moment, but there's
Right.
this one which I have here, which is called The Quiet Duel, which is
Mm.
an early one from I want to say 1949, so late 1940s, also featuring Toshiro Mifune and Takashi Shimura. It's a great drama here, and also there's one from the late period, his penultimate film, which is called Rhapsody in August. This
Wow.
also I don't think has been released by Criterion either, but this is the older DVD. But if you're able to get that as well, to round out your Kurosawa film experience. But for the most part, I
I'm
think
definitely gonna watch the. I'm definitely gonna watch the playback of this and make a list of those, see what I can find. Because like I said, I this with this experience, I mean, I was already a fan, but he's become my favorite director now after this because he was like 30 years ahead of everybody else. Not only the different stories and the different settings and the different languages, but also like him able to make so many epics and you it's a feast that you get not only from the stories but just the cam work that he was doing, so many years ago. Was just so far ahead of his time. He's become my favorite director as of now, just with these few movies I've seen, and there's still so much I have to watch, that I have to catch up on. So many films I haven't seen, but I was like, wow, this Kurosawa was just out of here. He's really on another planet. Truly a genius.
oh, Archie Cinema, that makes me very happy to hear. And also, yes, as if you have the Criterion channel, you'll be well served with the offerings. That I think they have most of the films
Right.
there, so you're in good hands with that. So it's definitely worth checking that out. And then let me know how you feel Even, maybe you might come across a film that you think it's meh, or it's not
Right,
really, it's not really as successful. That's fine too. I'd love
right,
to hear your thoughts about that
right.
going forward as you continue with your Kurosawa journey. So,
Most definitely.
um, oh, Archie Cinema, thank you so much. Are there any other maybe parting words or any final thoughts you want to share with us with regard to your Kurosawa film journey? This has been fantastic for me to listen to you. But is there anything you want to leave us with in terms of your final impressions of Kurosawa or things going forward? What would you like to mention here, my friend?
Oh, I'm just fortunate to be in a city that has art house cinema that plays these different themes. They've done early this year. They did a retrospective for the late great Mr. David Lynch. A couple years ago, they had a retrospective on with Fellini. So this is something they do, on the regular for directors. So I'm always here for it. And like I said, Kurosawa is at the top for me. So I was just fortunate to be able to view all these films and soak them in, and it's just a different experience watching it with an audience. So if you all are able to either just watch these movies in a theater or collect them or just watch them on any physical media, I definitely recommend it because he's really truly a pioneer of cinema. And I was just fortunate to be able to watch these films, and for those, I'm not sure the time frame or whatever, but for those of you, because the trailer that they showed, me and you talked, Dice, at the beginning of this, the trailer that they showed, for my particular theater, it was like a generic trailer they were using that was promoting that these restorations were coming in a set. So these movies are played or have played throughout the entire country. So I'd say check your local listings and see if there might be one of these retrospectives in your area. It might be even for you, Daisuke. I know you're in California, not sure what part, but there might be a retrospective play in your area. Just kind of check and see possibly. It's
Yeah.
definitely worth it, but because I was able to buy, they call it like a pass, like you buy just like one pass, and you're able to pick the times that you want. So for those of you that are in areas that might have these type of art house cinemas, definitely check your local listings in your local area and see if they might be playing this retrospective at all, because definitely worth it.
Archie Cinema, this has been a blast. It has been such a blast talking with you. I you
Likewise.
you you already had my deepest respect already, my friend. But when you told me that you saw Stray Dog, Rashomon, and Yojimbo all in the same day, uh, I'm like I'm in awe. I really
Right,
am. And again, just to hear you speak about these films, many of which you've watched for the first time, but
right,
you remember these stories and you're expressing them in these wonderful ways that are very easy to understand, and yet also I'm feeling the excitement. It makes me feel, I mean, this is the reason why I was so reinvigorated speaking with you, and just feeling wanting to watch the Kurosawa films again. I felt like I've seen these films already, but now I want to watch them again. So
right.
thanks to you and your enthusiasm. So Archie Cinema, I want to thank you so much for spending the time today. I know you're busy. I know it's getting late for you. So, but
Oh,
thank
that's
you so
okay.
much for this. I appreciate it, my friend. Truly, truly, it's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Oh, likewise, I say, like I said, I've been a big fan of yours for years. Like I said, just so many work days, listening to your film knowledge, it just gets me through the day before I before I have
You're
to
too
flip with
kind.
somebody. I said, let Dice kind of soothe my mind, get his thoughts on these films, and he really goes into detail. So
Yeah.
you've helped me throughout all these years, and I've just been a big fan. So just
Yeah.
appreciate you having me on here. I appreciate it so much. Like I said, I feel like I've made it, man. Like I made it on the Ed Sullivan show, you know.
No, 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 no. We are way too kind, my friend. And I just want to say you always take care of me. You look out for me. You always send me those messages about things that you've heard online about what's going to get released next. You always give me those little scoops that I can go ahead and make the
Right.
pre-order on time and stuff. So,
Hey,
and you
we
don't
got
have
the
to do
Nightmare
that.
on Elm Street in the bag because
Yeah.
they said the Amazon ones is probably a done deal. On
Are
the
you
steel books, they
serious?
say it's probably this is probably sold out. So hey,
I
sorry
have
for
you.
those who didn't catch that one.
I have you to thank for that, my friend. So, but
Right.
and you don't have to do that. You don't have to reach out to me like this, but you do all the time. So I'm just so grateful. I really am. You're very kind and very considerate in that way, and you're very busy too. So you don't have to do this, but you spend that amount of time to reach out to me in that way. So I am very grateful to you for that, and I mean, it's shown, for example, in today in our past conversations about Kurosawa and other filmmakers. But you really do, I really do feel like reinvigorated in a lot of ways, and I love to be
Okay.
able to feel that way. So I have you to thank for that, for making me feel that way. And making me be excited about and listening to you watching these films for the first time, or talking about how you feel about these films, watching them for the first time. It makes me excited all over again. So
Right.
that's a very you know, you can't put a dollar amount on that. It's just such a invaluable thing, so precious. So I want to say thank you so much, my friend, and I know that we'll continue our conversations. But once again, my dear friend, thank you so much. This has been a real honor and a real blast. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, Daisuke, thank you for having me, man. If you're ever in the area, man, ticket to the theaters on me.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. Oh, no question about it, man. Your family,
That's
man.
oh, my friend, that makes me so happy. So, likewise, we gotta one day, one of these days, we gotta meet up. Yeah, yeah.
Sure thing.
It's my true honor. Thank you, my friend. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.